The time is 6:15. Here is the news edited by Dilini Gunawardana, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Appeals Court rejects Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa's petition against interim order issued, preventing him from functioning as the acting chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Contribution of small and medium entrepreneurs towards the economy of the country is appreciated. Cabinet approves digitalization of general education in Sri Lanka. Industry Expo 2024 is set to take place in June. Foreign news: Vladimir Putin renews oath for the 5th term. Sports news: tennis. Rublev overcomes illness to claim Madrid Open title. Local news in detail. The Court of Appeal today dismissed the petition filed by Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa seeking to suspend the interim injunction issued by the Colombo District Court preventing him from functioning as the acting chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa was appointed as the acting chairman of Sri Lanka Freedom Party during an executive committee meeting held on the 21st of April by the party's function led by former President Maithripala Sirisena. On the 24th April, the Colombo District Court issued an injunction order preventing Minister Vijayadasa from functioning as the acting chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. The court has also issued an injunction order preventing MP Sarathi Dushmantha Maithripala from functioning as the General Secretary of Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Meanwhile, the court had issued another injunction preventing the implementation of the decisions taken by the Sri Lanka Freedom Party Acting General Secretary. The Colombo District Judge issued these injunctions after considering a complaint submitted by Minister Mahinda Amaravira, Lasantha Alagiyavanna and Member of Parliament Dominda Disanayaka. These injunctions will remain in effect until May 8, 2024. The second reading of the Partition Amendment Bill and the Recovery of the Loans by Banks, a Special Prevention Provisions Amendment Bill was taken up in the House today. State Minister Ranjit Siyambalapitiya noted that the government has taken action to relax the rules for the small and medium entrepreneurs. The central bank has issued 15 notices for the small and medium entrepreneurs so that they could gain much benefit. An allocation of 450 billion rupees has been made in order to strengthen the capital of banks. He further added that the provision of ADB will also be allocated for the development of small and medium entrepreneurs. MP Vijita Herath pointed out the significance of facilitating and provision of concessions to the small and medium entrepreneurs through the financial policy, since they are the backbone of the national economy. Joining the debate, Minister Nalin Fernando appreciated the contribution of small and medium entrepreneurs towards the economy of the country. He also mentioned that the government will continue to provide concessions to the public. The Chinese government has agreed to provide for the project in accordance with the project proposal for the digital transformation of general education in Sri Lanka. A feasibility study has also been conducted in relation to the implementation of the project. The proposed project is expected to provide delivering classrooms, receiving classrooms, data center and table for schools within the Ministry of Education to facilitate these activities, a studio room and a conference room. These devices will support the effective and efficient performance of the blended learning method, sharing resources, imparting the knowledge of teachers with the special skills to the students when needed, avoiding the problems that arise in the case of a shortage of teachers and facilitating the proposed educational reforms. Accordingly, the Cabinet approved the proposal presented by the Minister of Education to implement the proposed project based on the relevant feasibility study report. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with more local news. Minister Dr. Ramesh Pathiran announced that the forthcoming Industry Expo 2024 will grace the BMICH from the 19th to the 23rd of June under the patronage of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Additionally, the minister highlighted the debut of the inaugural international conference alongside the prestigious Industry Green Awards ceremony aimed at fostering a culture of sustainable practices within the industry. Minister Ramesh Pathiran made these remarks while addressing a media briefing at the Presidential Media Center held on Monday under the theme Collective Path to a Stable Country. Sri Lanka Banks Association, Lanka Pay and Fin CSIRT says they have been alerted regarding several incidents of financial fraud both globally and in Sri Lanka, disguised as attractive online offers, leading to mobile device users inadvertently clicking on unknown links and downloading malicious apps and files. This action grants scammers complete access to the mobile device, enabling them to control it remotely. Once the fraudsters take control of the mobile device, they have easy access to bank payment apps that are installed on that device, leading to a theft from bank accounts and payment cards accessed via the mobile device. The general public is advised to be more vigilant in order to avoid falling prey to such scams. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
The passenger ferry service between Nagapattinam in India and Kankasanture near Jaffna in the northern province, which was launched in October 2023 by the Shipping Corporation of India, will resume on the 13th May tentatively. The ferry service will be operated by a private operator selected by SCI in consultation with the government. In order to make this service affordable and attractive for passengers, India has decided to bear the cost towards relevant charges and operating cost at the Nagapattinam port to the tune of over 25 million Lankan rupees per month for a period of 1 year. Similarly, Sri Lanka has reduced the deviation tax currently charged to passengers leaving Sri Lanka by passenger vessels and ships. That ends main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight. The Russian Embassy in Sri Lanka has announced registrations for the International Scientific Physics Olympiad, held to expand cooperation between countries in terms of finding and supporting talented youngsters. Students and school graduates have been invited to take part in the International Scientific Physics Olympiad, which will be held in Kenti, Minesiacs from the 3rd to the 11th of July 2024. The Russian Embassy said the program includes theoretical and experimental parts. Those interested have been requested to send in their applications on or before May 15, 2024 to https://ispho.mipt.ir are you? That ends Watchlight. Moving on to the world news, let's take a look at the headlines. Vladimir Putin renews oath for fifth term. Israel says it controls Gaza side of Rafah crossing as truce talks to resume. Premier Modi votes in the third phase of the Lok Sabha polls. World news in detail. For the fifth time, President Vladimir Putin took the long walk through the Grand Kremlin Palace to the St. Andrew's Throne Hall. There he took the oath of office and was sworn in as Russia's president for a new 6-year term. Addressing an audience of ministers and dignitaries after taking oath, President Putin expressed hope that Russia will be able to overcome all obstacles, bring all plans to fruition, and to win together. The Israel Defense Force says it has operational control of the Gaza side of the Rafah crossing. The announcement follows what the IDF said were targeted strikes against Hamas in the eastern Rafah. Talks are to resume in Cairo after Hamas said it would accept a deal drawn up by the Egyptian mediators. It was, however, rejected by Israel as, far from meeting its core demands, it is not clear exactly what Hamas has agreed to, but the proposal is thought to include the release of hostages and return of displaced Palestinians within Gaza. Polls are underway in the third of the 7-phase Indian election, with 11 states voting for 93 seats in Lok Sabha, the lower house of the parliament. The first 2 phases of the vote were held in April in 190 constituencies, with a voter turnout of 66.1% and 66.7% respectively. The elections primarily paid to the National Democratic Alliance against the Indian National Development Inclusive Alliance. Voters will elect representatives to fill 543 seats of the Lok Sabha. The party of O coalition that secures a majority will form the next government. To end the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Vladimir Putin renews oath for 5th term. Israel says it controls Gaza side of Rafah crossing as truce talks to resume. Premier Modi votes in the third phase of the Lok Sabha polls. That ends world news.
Development news.
Cabinet of Ministers has approved a deal with Indian billionaire Gautam Adani's renewable energy wing Adani Green to develop wind power stations in the country. Adani Green Energy will be developing wind power stations in Mana and Punri in Sri Lanka. The Cabinet has appointed a negotiating committee to evaluate the project proposal, which was furnished by Adani Green. That came to you on Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
Andrei Rublev overcame illness and losing the first set to beat Felix Auger-Aliassime for 6-7-5, 7-5 for his first Madrid Open title. The Russian world number 8 was under the weather with a fever coming into Sunday's final and looked out of shorts when he trailed 4-1 in the opening set. But Rublev fought his way back into the match, striking at the end of both sets to get past the world number 35 and win his second Masters 1000 tournament. The 26-year-old had lost 4 consecutive matches before arriving in the Spanish capital, but his performance will have encouraged him before the French Open, which starts in 3 weeks' time. That ends sports news.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
A delegation led by State Minister Dilu Mamadugama participated in the Hanover Messe 2024 in Hanover, Germany recently. This was the first time that Sri Lanka had officially participated in the Hanover Messe, which is considered to be the world's leading industrial trade fair. This year's edition of Hanover Messe was attended by over 130,000 visitors from 150 countries, 4,000 exhibiting companies, 300 startups, and over 300 economic and political delegations from all over the world. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news, according to the central bank, Sri Lanka's official reserve asset increased by 9.6% to $5.43 billion in April 2024, compared to $4.96 billion in March 2024. However, this includes proceeds from the swap with the People's Bank of China equivalent to around $1.4 billion, which is subject to conditionalities on usability. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
An enhancement of showery condition over most parts of the island is expected during next few days. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the western, Sabragamu and central provinces and in the Galle, Mathura, Mena, Bavaria and Mullaitivu districts after 2 p.m. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the northwestern, north central and rural provinces during the afternoon or night. A few showers may occur over the coastal areas of the Puttalam to Galle via Colombo during the morning. Fairly heavy showers, about 50 mm, likely at some places in the western and Sabragamu provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the central and Sabragamu provinces during the morning. That ends weather report. To wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Appeals Court rejects Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa's petition against interim order issued preventing him from functioning as the acting chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Contribution of small and medium entrepreneurs towards the economy of the country is appreciated. Cabinet approves digitalization of general education in Sri Lanka. Industry Expo 2024 is set to take place in June. Foreign news, Vladimir Putin renews oath for the 5th term. Sports news, tennis, Reblo overcomes illness to claim Madrid Open title. With that, we wrap up the evening news on Radio Sri Lanka. You are with Radio Sri Lanka. The time is 34 minutes down 6 o'clock.